with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask each one of our candidates to speak for 2 minutes and tell us about themselves. And I don't know if I can stretch this over, but do you guys think you can talk loud enough?
Someone told me you're supposed to eat it. Right? So my name is Courtney Schaefer. I am a community member and a parent of a 6th grader. But I'm also the wife of a Navy veteran, so he would say something about the Marines. Don't want to say it anyway. I am the daughter of a lifelong educator. Both my husband, my son, my parents are here. My mother used to teach educational leadership at SLU and just retired this year. So, unfortunately, I have been in listening and finding out about education my whole life. I've spent myself 30 years involved in public education in a variety of roles. I went to Indiana University with a double major in journalism and psychology, a master's in public administration from University of Southern California, and a master's in social work from WashU, which was what brought me to St. Louis. My mother is part of our family that's been here for 100 years. So I feel my reason I'm doing this is because I have been in schools for the last 6 years as a school social worker and learned how to problem solve really tough things. And I wanted to give back that problem solving experience to this school district. I feel like we should be ready to answer hard questions. And I really welcome any hard questions from any of you. We should be able to earn our seat on the school board. And I think that for us, we should be responsible for the tax dollars. So I brought my research with me to answer questions, and I really appreciate you having me here to listen and learn. Thank you.
Keep it down. So with that, I'm going to go on to the first question. So I'm going to go, once I let you guys read this, and I'm going to pass this off to Mr. Hockey. I'll read the question so make sure everybody understands it. The tone of the race at times has been unpleasant. The supporters of social media can provide a space for lies and excesses. Right? That's just sometimes politics. But this is a great community, and we don't need that, right? So what I got to ask, what our organizers have asked us, Republicans, and also I speak for everybody in Webster Groves. Will each of you publicly denounce the behavior tonight and call upon your supporters in person and on social media to remain civil and call for an end to the personal attacks, name calling, and threatening language? And what actions will you take to help end this behavior and promote a more civil discourse for the good of our candidates, our community, an example for our children? All right? So I'm going to bring this down and let you guys answer.
Thank you all for having this question. I know I'm going to eat it, right? Thank you all for having this question. It's really important that we are all part of the community. I have welcomed the opportunity. I have been so honored by the opportunity to knock on doors and talk to people who we might not agree and listen. And it has been a gift for me to hear voices, because I think that it's really important that we all connect for the community, because the school relies on the community and the community relies on the schools. And if we feel like we are pulled apart, then we're not going to be successful, and our students won't be successful. So I welcome all views. We might not agree on everything, but I know we agree that we want the students in this district to be successful, and we want to make sure our tax dollars are used effectively. And I don't know who's been doing this, but if it was in somebody of my campaign, I would like to know, and I will deal with it. Thank you.
Legacy question, right? So the school district's primary goal for decades has been educating the next generation. Academic performance, specifically for minority students, has been an additional primary concern since integration in the 1950s. We're probably about the 4th generation of what's happened since the good things about Ron versus the Board of Education. As stated by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, schools should educate, not indoctrinate. Teachers can teach, and teachers can test. But teachers cannot require students to endorse a particular political viewpoint. Is it possible to hold as a candidate for a school board the time-honored goals of educational excellence as a primary purpose of our school districts, instead of newer concerns, we all know what they are, and still be seen as a district's board?
I just wanted to say one thing, if you all are interested. I did print out the Webster Groves DESE report, and I actually made copies for anybody who wants it. So if you want to reference anything from DESE about Webster Groves, I have it here and I'm willing to pass it out. Because I feel like having good data is always really important. I worked for special school district. My job was to help students with barriers get the best out of their education. And all of my students were African American. So there are things we need to be thinking about in the school district. And it has been my job to do this, and I intend to take that experience to the school board. I also believe that parents are critical to a school district. I think that they should feel connected and welcome in many ways. And if we are struggling with that, let's figure it out. That is what I think about. I think parents make school districts. I also think that we need to encourage critical thinking skills. It means that I'm kind of a neuroscience nerd, which means I study the way the brain learns. And what we need to do is make sure that the fundamentals are that we need brains ready for the next step. They're not done learning when they graduate. If they go to trade school, a college, military, career, their brains are still learning, and we need to make sure that we are preparing them for that.
Political teaching primacy. Political and social viewpoints are the constitutional rights of citizens of our United States. Do you think Webster Groves School District should teach political and social viewpoints of the sitting majority of the school board members, whoever they may be at a given time, instead of focusing on time-honored academics and educational excellence recognizable by universities, colleges? In other words, are they career ready?
Okay, my mother's a professor of education at a university, so I better get this right. One of the things that she taught me this whole time was the importance of research and what we do, and making sure that we're doing it the right way. The United States has been doing educational research for years. Students come here to learn from the people who have been doing this research. So we need to make sure that we're following best practices. I also think that parents should be involved. I know that Webster has had a practice of including parents in curriculum discussions, and I think that that should continue. And if maybe parents feel like they're not being involved, then we need to figure out how to make that happen. I think that our students are amazingly resilient, and they learn in ways that we can't even understand. And we might not understand everything that they want to learn. So let's figure out how to know that. So I think that it is important for students to have access to all the pieces of their education, and it's student-driven learning means that we might have a broader idea of what is taught in classrooms, but then student-driven learning leads to student-driven success.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the essence of time, we're going to move on to the final two questions, so we give our candidates a chance to speak to us in a summary, right? So this kind of follows along with the last question, right? It's a hot topic. It's a concern of many people in our nation. It's about CRT, also known as critical race theory. Right? For the incumbents first, what is the Webster Grove School District policy on critical race theory and its application, its teaching, and its practice, right? Praxis of CRT. We understand CRT as an academic focus, but the praxis is something I'm asking about. I want to know if you believe that CRT is taught or not taught. Do you support statewide efforts, primarily from the Republican Party, to ban CRT in our schools, since it's not supposed to be taught? They say it's not. So again, do you support statewide legislation to ban critical race theory and education in Illinois and Missouri? I'm going to start again.
I need to get up. I looked up some of the things about CRT on the DESE website, and I found this report about the number of school districts using CRT in their curriculum. And according to this report, there was one. So this is by DESE. So if anybody wants to look at it, I will leave it here. I had the pleasure of going to a lobby day two weeks ago regarding all of the legislation that's going on at the state level. Currently, there are 99 bills that are trying various forms of changing the way that we do public education. And we actually, myself and another person, met with Dan Shaw for quite a while and had a very nice conversation about how to find a middle ground, how to support schools. He was very open and honest. What we discussed was that we could say yes or no to CRT, but these bills have fiscal costs. They are costing money. And some of them already have pieces in them that are already part of federal legislation. So do we want to spend money on a bill and charge our tax, and some of these things cost school districts. So it is not an easy yes or no. I need to know as a steward to these dollars of the taxpayers, when a bill goes forward, it's not just one thing. It is multiple things. And those things are very important. And so I cannot say one thing because I would need to look at all of the pieces in it.
I think for the interest of time, we're going to let our speakers speak. If I could ask you guys just like a minute, if you could, just to close to 8:30, just to kind of finalize and give your final thoughts to our voters.
Thank you again so much for having us here. I really appreciate coming, and I really like listening to folks and their concerns and just their perspectives. I do have, again, back to the DESE, I do have these, if anybody wants to see the printout on all of the data from DESE on Webster. I will say I'm a little disappointed I didn't get to do my data spreadsheets on all the map data for the districts surrounding us and all of the map. I spent some time on the spreadsheet and I'm not getting to talk about it at all, so kind of a bummer. I did also look up rankings of the school district, and there's a wide variety of rankings, which I think speaks to the issue that we don't feel comfortable in some of the metrics on how we really know our students are successful. And I think that it's really important that we work on that is a place, an area of growth. How do we know that our students are equipped with what they need to for the next step? And I think it's a challenge because there are so many kinds of students in learning. I, for one, have a son who struggles with learning and that doesn't do the math test in the same way. So he doesn't get included in these numbers. So how does that mean his success is shown? So I think that really getting in there and analyzing this and working with the team is really important. And I want to listen and hear, and I want to work as part of a team to ensure student success. Thank you. My name is, and I'm sorry, Courtney Schaefer, 1-year term.